Hello everyone, Jay here. Welcome to One SAF, One Step Away From, where we're going to be discussing a topic that I find really interesting. It affects a lot of people's lives today, so I wanted to jump straight in. Today we're going to be discussing social media. So fellas, yeah, can you lot quick fire around? Name me some social media platforms.
Instagram,
YouTube,
Twitter, Facebook.
Right,
Snapchat as well. Yeah.
Snappy. Okay, so you lot just name pretty much the top 5. Yeah? Facebook being number 1, YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger. So out of those top 5, 3 of them is owned by one company. Actually, 4 of them, 4 of them is owned by one company. YouTube is owned by Google, I believe, right?
Is now.
So Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, all owned by Facebook.
Yep.
Monopoly. That's what I'm going to say on that one. So, does everyone here use Facebook?
I do not.
Okay. T?
I mean, I've got the account, but I don't use it. I used to use it back in the day, but
Back in the day.
yeah, I only use it for Facebook Market now. Buy a little something.
Yeah, that's handy, man. Facebook Marketplace is handy at times. But still, most of you probably use Instagram over Facebook, but it's still the same company. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to ask you guys, can you give me, between us, can we think of 3 realistic expectations of social media within our lives? I'll say one. For instance, I use it as a tool to share what I'm doing.
I use it mainly to connect, because obviously I went to school back home, so I've got friends still back home and things like that, and family. So yeah, like it's mainly to connect and obviously just update people every now and then.
Yeah, it's used to keep that communication going. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think for myself, this is a weird one because those that know me know that I was adamant that I even use social media, period. I was A-okay with those who were in my, within my local reach, really. So I never felt a real need to have social media. I also saw the deficit of having social media, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But I guess, yeah, one of the reasons for social media can be business, can be marketing and promotion. So yeah, I think people expect it. I think people expect a level of advertisement or in selling or marketing or pushing a product through social media nowadays. It wasn't initially the reason why social media got set up, but it became that.
Through the way how the world develop and work, yeah, it definitely became that. So I think in a nutshell, those realistic expectations is leaving social media being an avenue for people to connect with others, to update each other, and now most recently to promote, to market themselves or products. And I think
just to add on top of that as well,
mm-hmm.
on top of that, Jay, I think security as well.
Explain.
I think as a social aspect, you know me, I like to do research, look into sociology and behavioral studies or stuff like that. As a social aspect, I think a lot of people prefer to meet online rather than meet initially face to face. And I think that's a security thing, an anxiety thing, and a learned behavior. But I'm sure, as I said, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that. So yeah, those are some realistic expectations. So let's dive into some unrealistic expectations. For instance, a big one for me is using it as a measuring stick to judge yourself by. And that's like a lot of people I see doing that, and to me that's extremely unrealistic, to go on social media and judge where you are in life by what other people post.
The thing is, for myself, when you talk about judging how other people are in life from what other people post, I'm going to use a saying that one of my colleagues say, what is the function of that behavior? This is what we discuss within my place around work, when people act in certain ways and behave in certain ways. What is the function of that behavior? The function of showing yourself to be living a certain lifestyle on a internet page or on social media, what's the function? The function is to say, my real life is actually quite bad. Now, I don't want you to see that. I want you to see what I would like to be. People show what they would like to be, how they would like to live. And the sad reality is, when that camera goes off and they come off social media, what do they have time to do? Walk around their yard and see the reality. Look in that mirror and see that reality. Get up and go to work next day, which is your reality. Drive your real car, which is your reality. Return the clothing item that you bought just for the picture. That's the reality. Eat out of a tin. That's the reality. So that's the situation there that we're dealing with. Now, understand this. What is that doing to your own psyche? To your own
right. We need to go that far into it. We're not gonna go that far into it. You jump in the gun there. You relax.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So T.
Yeah, man. I think Kay is just literally touched on what I was thinking. Yeah, around that, it's crazy actually how social media is taking over our lives. It's taken over our lives more than anything else I've ever seen in terms of influence. We now dress because what we've seen on social media. So it's impacted our dress sense, our morals and values towards relationships, and even towards family. And people are just giving off this information willy-nilly, right? Without anyone actually asking them. They're volunteering some information.
That's a really scary one. That's a really scary one. Hearing everyone talk, another unrealistic expectations is like a lot of people get bullied on social media. People call it trolling, some people call it bullying. And I mean, you don't expect to go on a platform and put your content out there or share your life and in return receive abuse. To me, that is...
I don't agree, you know.
No?
I think if you put something online, you're open to criticism. Now,
criticism, yeah, but I think we have to admit the criticism online is not criticism. That is abuse. That is, some people get downright dirty, just straight up abuse, go kill yourself. Like,
I agree with that. Yes.
Not even constructive criticism. Like, this is the worst I've ever seen. Nothing constructive.
Okay, let me rephrase what I'm saying then. When you post anything online, you open yourself up to the world. It's called the World Wide Web. That means every other facet or type of person and character that you could ever meet or ever not meet in life, you will meet them. It's that simple. You will meet the downright dirty, nasty, evil people. You will meet them. You will also meet the philanthropist. You will also meet the charity muscle guy or woman. You'll meet the good and the bad. Understand that before you go online. I don't understand why people expect everyone to treat them nice, because guess what? The world isn't all nice. It's that simple. So to expect to be treated great by everyone is a false expectancy. Have a realistic expectancy. And maybe if you don't like the negativity that you're receiving, guess what you can do online that you can't do in real life? Turn it off. You don't have to read what someone says. You can delete your AM account. You can stop using it. You can block them. Or you can just turn your phone off. Why do people think their phone is attached to their hands and it has to be on at all times and it must be interacted with? It's not a Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi, boy.
Jeez. I don't understand it. It's like, again, what's the function of that behavior? It's addiction. People on their mobile phones, especially the younger generations, they are addicted to social media. They are addicted to technology and they feel they are not the same without it. Who wants it like that? Follow the money trail. Businesses want it like that. A business loves the fact that people feel that they must have a mobile. You must have the internet. In fact, society has almost cultured it in a way where if you don't have the internet, you can't function in life, in general society. If you don't have a mobile phone, you can't function because everyone's got to be able to reach you at all times, whether for safety or just to be involved in the world. You've got to have certain social media accounts. If not, how am I going to contact you? Now that's a problem, because now if you feel that something that is a luxury, remember people, a mobile phone is a luxury, believe it or not. The internet is a luxury, believe it or not. Your laptop is a luxury, believe it or not. So is your iPad and anything else that you may use. Yeah? So understand the purpose of why you feel something is necessary. If it's not water, food, or shelter, it's not necessary. But a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. The world we live in now, they will never understand that. Because kids now, the new form of discipline now is, I'll take your phone away. And literally their life crumbles in front of them. I'll take your games away. Your life crumbles. Imagine when we was growing up, if someone said, I'll take your games away, I'll go outside. I'll go outside and play with my friends.
Unless you get grounded.
Yeah, unless you get grounded. So it was a different form of discipline, right? But what this has done has actually impacted a lot of people's confidence. Because here's the thing, if I put a picture up, right? If I'm not confident enough, I'm looking for likes. If I don't get those likes, I'm going to get affected by it. That's why some of these things are affecting people on a whole different level where people are taking their lives.
That's touching on mental health.
Yep.
Yep, definitely. And
that's another podcast.
Now we're gonna talk about that in relation to social media anyway a little bit later.
Yeah, but these are the things that are happening and no one is doing something about it to save. Why? Because it's making them money. The moment it stops making them money, they will do something about it. Mm-hmm. People are now more comfortable, like Kay said earlier, meeting someone online than they would face to face. Guess what? They look at that as security, but I look at it as actually it's a disadvantage because I can be anyone online. You talk about dating, I could be 6'8" online, muscles everywhere, charm like anything. But when you actually meet me, it's a different story. But what then happens when you've been talking to me for 3 months? You've invested your time and emotions. So you're going to overlook everything else because of that. So this whole concept of, I'm more comfortable meeting people online isn't actually that great, to be honest, because when you meet someone face to face, you can read someone and say, okay, this is not for me. We can't be friends. We can't go out, whatever else. I've met you. I can see something there. It's not going to work. But online takes that away. It takes people as intuitive.
That's a really good segue, because I wanted to talk about dating apps next. Quick question: has anyone here used a dating app? Full disclosure, I have.
I've used one this year.
I have.
And last year I used what's that one where you like swipe left and swipe right? I can't remember.
Tinder.
That's Tinder. It. Tinder. Yeah. I used Tinder last year. I couldn't even. I remember I was speaking to you, Jay. I was like, "How the hell do you use this app?" I didn't know the functions of it or anything, and I just got rid of it. Like that's how much I had experience with dating apps. It's not my thing, if I'm honest. So to the point I have to ask, like, I'm kind of old school, like horse and cart type situation. Well, not that bad, but yeah. But it was interesting. A dating app is interesting, and just for research alone, it was interesting to take part in it. Anxiety in people is ridiculous. From my experience, and also looking into studies as well. So if we talked about expectancies, we talked about behaviors, we talked about patterns, I'm going to bring something else into it. When it comes to dating apps or even social media in general, the lie and deception, that is a core element of social media and dating apps, is lying and deception. So going back to my little phrase from my colleague, what is the function of that behavior? So I looked into a study, which I saw on American Scientists by Sarney and Cole in the 1980s. And it looked into how deception is formulated. It looked into early childhood, but I'm not going to go into the whole breadth of the study. I'm going to pick out certain parts that can shine some light onto what I'm talking about here. So first of all, deception can be done either physically or verbally. Yeah, people can lie through their facial expressions. Sometimes if you're angry and you're annoyed, you don't show it on your face because you don't want other people to say, oh, is everything all right? What's the matter? So you change your face. That's deception and lying. So you do what? Not show people what's really internally, which is the same as that person who posts themselves by an expensive car when their reality is they're driving a Ford Focus. Same concept, different situation. So now it talks about that it could possibly be an evolutionary pressure. Now, especially when it comes to females, this study talks about men and women, but it says that mostly with young females, they are more impacted by the social pressure to be a certain way in dating apps and social media. And it talks about evolutionary pressure. So why does a woman, for example, make herself look more pretty than she really is? That's evolution, right? You need to be selected so someone can mate you and you can reproduce and your gene pool will continue to the next generation. Now, before, when you had to meet face to face, you had to engage with that person and that person will decide on what they're physically seeing face to face. Well, you can deceive someone prior to our meeting them. Now, beyond that, when you come from the social media online forum and I've shown you a false representation of myself. What do I have to do when I physically meet you now? What do I have to do?
You have to make up excuses and lie and be like, oh,
that's an old photo from 2015 and oh, it was just the angle. Oh, it was because it was black and white. Oh, that was a filter. All that stuff. Or
they take offense.
They take offense. That's another part as well, but I'll get into that a little bit. Just to kind of wrap this up as well, the lie also comes physically. So when you physically meet that person who's lied to you by deception, by changing their appearance, by using whatever technology that they can, they now have to fulfill that falsehood by doing what? Buying certain clothes, buying certain fittings or implants or whatever in order to try and make themselves that false reality so that you can take them on board still. That could be an evolutionary argument. Beyond that is a social pressure that females, according to the study, have a higher social pressure than men. Now, finally, just to wrap this up, Jay mentioned being offended. Now, why would you be offended if someone reveals to you that you've lied, that you've deceived them? Shouldn't the person who you have lied to and deceived be the one who's offended? Why is the person that you're telling you're lying, you're deceiving me, why should you get offended? Now, here's the last part of the study. It talks about awareness, and that is problematic if you are unaware that you're lying and that you're being deceptive. Now, you might argue, how can someone be unaware that they're lying and deceptive when you're clearly changing and editing your own pictures before you post it? Well, now that comes down to normalized social behaviors.
Yeah, norms.
Social norms. If that's what if that is what 90% of people on dating apps do, and 90% of people on social media apps, then technically the real person is abnormal by definition. The normal person is the deceiver and the liar. Now I'll leave that there, but that is a big issue. That's a big issue, man. And I ain't talking magazine.
Oi. Oh my days, that's a deep one. And I really wanted to expound on something T said as well, which was quite interesting, and I made a note of it. When talking about the longevity or the success of these relationships that people go on dating apps, like, do you guys think it's a sustainable way to find a partner?
No, simply put. Obviously, they are success stories there, but percentage-wise, they're not that great. Probably 5%, if that.
Okay, so I found out the most recent study I found on this was done in the US. And out of 30% of the applicants that said they did use a dating site or an app, only 12% of those was ever married or been in a committed relationship. So only 12% of them had ever got married or was in a committed relationship based off a dating app.
It'll be interesting to see the ones in a committed relationship, how long they were in that committed relationship.
Yeah, because it doesn't specify. So by them saying that, I think a lot of them fell off or they're not together now. Because it says have ever been in. So it could be past tense as well.
Because here's the thing, like I was saying earlier about when someone is lied and you've been emotionally invested, right? When you're talking to someone over 3 months or 6 months, whatever, you've invested. So what's going to happen when you see them? Even though you see the lies in front of you, you're going to settle. Because, I can't let that go now because I've invested. Right? That's what it boils down to. It doesn't boil down to, now we're a perfect match. We get along well. It's, I've invested 6 months in you. So I'll overlook everything else.
So are you saying people accept that? They accept the deception and the lie?
Whether consciously or unconsciously, that's another topic. But yeah, I've heard of cases where this happens. And I remember when I tried Tinder many years ago, it was a profile I saw and I actually laughed to myself and I thought, wow, this is how deep it's got. It was of this lady who had, if we meet up and you're not how you look in your photos, you're going to buy me drinks until you look like how you looked in your photos.
I was literally going to say, that's
Wait, say that again. Say that again, G.
I'm telling you, I saw that and I laughed to myself. It literally was, if you don't look like anything off your pictures, you're going to get me drunk until you look like your pictures.
Yep.
So when I saw that,
goggles, boy.
exactly. When I saw that, I realized actually this is a problem. It's happening on a number of, not even a number, like on mass occasions. That's happening. People are being tricked.
That's what Tinder is. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I took advantage of Tinder living in London for a good amount of years. There's horror stories and all. And the catfish thing is real. One, the catfish thing is real. Secondly,
can you explain what catfish is? Because to me, they are.
You don't have to tell me twice about that.
Yeah, that's what we're talking. That's what we're talking about. No, that's what we're talking about now. Catfish is basically the term of they're not what they look like in their pictures when you meet them in real life.
Why catfish though? Anyway, we don't need to know why.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Maybe because you think a catfish, that would look cute, but when you actually see a catfish, they're ugly. So it's like, I'm just thinking crazy people logic. But yeah, secondly, from my experience, majority of people are not on Tinder to find a relationship. Gallim are looking for dinner or D, fam. That's all. Most of what Tinder is. I'm sorry.
What does D mean?
Means dedication.
You know,
so they're looking for dinner and dedication. No problem. No problem.
I think what it is they're looking for that, but also the thing about Tinder in particular was the whole process is shallow. Like when you actually think
Yep.
about it, when you actually look at it, it's shallow. You like someone and you swipe left or right, based on just a picture and a silly little paragraph they write nonsense on. No one even
No one
reads
even
that,
reads that paragraph,
right?
G.
So when people swipe, some will have conversations. When I used it, there were people that I matched with and never spoke to, just didn't. There's some people where I spoke to and it just didn't go anywhere. So I decided, you know what, this is not for me, because there was no connection. There's nothing beats face-to-face connection. When you've got someone, right, that you meet, whether it be in a shop or on the street or not, you will know this person is off. There's something about you. But because we're so stuck behind our screens, that's fading away. That second person inside you that tells you something is up here, it's going. So what have you got? You've got people that are running around getting themselves in situations of life and death because they've not developed that sixth sense they call. It's
Yep.
that. So there's a lot of disadvantages when it comes to this. But other people will argue, oh, it's the safest way to meet people. It will stop. Not really, in my own opinion.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. I think for me, dating apps is, like you said, it's really shallow. It's like you said, no one reads the little bio that people read. No one really puts considerable effort into the bios anyway. Yeah, it's just it's a weird space to try, I think, to try and find a lifelong companion. Not saying it doesn't happen, but for me, it's a really weird way to go in search of love, as they say. But then again, you think, what other outlets are there in today's society to do such a thing? Do you know what I'm saying?
Especially with COVID.
Exactly. So it's a tricky one.
Yeah, I just want to say a point on what you made, T. Compared to what I said previously about the deception and the lie and creating a falsehood of pictures and all this stuff and blah, 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 and then trying to live up to that lie, but then living in your reality, which is your home that you refuse to show people. You said about swiping left and swiping right and how that's done, like that's done quickly, innit? And you said it was shallow. Now, it actually puts some credibility onto why people change their photos then. Because if you got a split second to convince someone, I'm the one and you need to pick me, then you have to put on your best front, even if it's not your front. So I can now almost, I'm not saying it's right, but I almost can understand now, because what it means is that there's a competitive market. That's basically what it means. All the women are competing. If you're in a heterosexual dating app, all the women are competing for the men, all the men are competing for the women. So now I understand why it's not good enough just to show your real face, because 90% of the people are showing their false face, putting the filters on, making their skin look smoother, you using makeup, you using the false hair. They're doing that because they know they have a split second to get your attention. It's almost like being the Sun newspaper. They use some crazy rhetoric in their titles to do what? To catch your eye. Once they caught your eye, that's the hardest part, isn't it? It's to try and make yourself differentiate amongst the masses. So I had to be this top Dan, and I've got to put an image on that I'm a top Dan that's maybe got money too, because there's other men out there who are looking better than me, who are living better than me, who has more resources than me. But I want the top girl or the top woman. And the top woman's going to go for the top man, but I'm not really the top man, but I will look like the top man to get the top girl. So I can understand the mindset. It's wrong, but I can understand it.
But that mindset, okay, is not for relationships. That mindset is, for having fun, in my own opinion. Because here's the thing.
Yep. You're right, because the stats will clarify that you're right.
Yeah, because what happens when you throw a net in the sea. Do you have a choice on what goes into that net?
Not at all.
Not at all. So you might have a shark, turtle, fish,
Crab.
catfish, crab, everything in there, right? So it damages you in terms of the experience, even your outlook on humanity can be affected. Because when you catch a shark in there, you pull that net up, what's going to happen? Might try and attack you.
You'll get bitten, bro.
Yeah. But that's what happens when you go down this road. And then all you hear is, oh, men are trash, women are this. Because you've thrown a net in the sea and you've just grabbed everything. Whereas if you had a single rod, you're more selective.
And you choose your right bait.
Exactly. You know, this bait will attract this kind of fish.
And you fish in the right waters.
Boy.
Exactly.
Analogies. I love fishing.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because, okay, yes, Tinder is made for that. But what we've discussed in relationships about what happens when you have this fun. It comes at a greater price sometimes.
Yep. Real talk. I think
I just want to share something else on the dating apps as well, if you don't mind, Jay.
Go on.
Before we just in case we might move on from this home topic, I'm just thinking, like, I'm just going to run down, and I've added this catfishing thing in it as well. So it can be suggested that a dating app is almost likened to a part-time job. So you're already working full-time, but the dating app has become a part-time job. Same as social media. Why? On dating apps specifically, you can be having multiple conversations at any given time. Whether it's morning, as soon as you wake up, while you're working, when you're with friends and on family, during your hobbies and interests, and as you're going to sleep, which could make you go to bed late. So you're having multiple conversations at any given time. Now, I don't know about you and me. If there's 4 people in a room with me now and you're all trying to talk to me at one time, I ain't going to be able to hold a conversation with you 4. It's that simple. But on a dating app, you are definitely doing more than 4. Yeah? Now, that has an issue with continuity of conversation. Are you going to be able to remember every single conversation you have with every single person, or do you have to scroll and read through all the previous conversation? Now, this is likened to what T said about not getting that personal interaction. Because in real life, when you meet someone, you can't scroll on the previous conversation to go back on what they said because you can't remember. You're going to have to remember or ask them. Yeah? You might be having banter with different people. You might be exposing yourself to different people. And that goes into the self-value, self-esteem. There's expectancies, as what we initially said, for people to see your nude body. Now, I don't know about you. I'm a professional. It ain't happening. I'm not foolish enough to put any nude picture of me out there. Why? It can come back to bite you. Anything on the internet stays on the internet. People screenshot, people screen record. And if that's disabled because of certain apps and their privacy policies, you can have a second phone and take a picture of your other phone. Don't be foolish. If you want a career, if you want a real job with responsibility that requires professionalism and you respect yourself, and if you want children or have children, then don't put pictures of your nudes out there. But there's a social pressure on dating apps that you must show nudes. If not, I'm not interested. Because everyone wants their cake and they want to eat it, which can't happen. The analogy is this: everyone wants to have your cake and eat it. It means I give you a whole cake. You don't want to share it with no one. You want to keep that cake forever and eat all of the cake. Well, you can't eat all of the cake and still keep the cake forever, can you? But that's what's wanted on these apps. Maintain an interest. You've got to maintain interest in all these different people that you're talking to. It's not going to happen because it becomes fickle. You're not invested, as T said, in the conversation because it's shallow. Now, that's a lot of energy, isn't it? That's a lot of mental energy. We talked about mental health, to try and do all that at one time, constantly, every day of the week. Because if you're not in it, then you're not going to win it. What the hell is that about? That's a social pressure. Now, that's before I talk about the element of what? Rejection. Guess what, people? Not everyone has to like you. Not everyone has to like me. I don't like you, it's fine. No, it's fine. I'm not attracted to you, it's fine. Someone else will be. Chill. Yeah, it's not personal. That's before we have ceased combos. If someone doesn't reply to you, hi, what's going on? Now that's a breakage, and this is about resilience now, which is your character building. Yes, you can have a conversation with someone for 4 days and suddenly they stop responding. They haven't rejected you and they haven't blocked you. They are present, but not responding. Move on. Would you keep talking to someone face to face if they didn't even talk back? You would walk away. Do the same. Now, the block. When people block you, that could be heart-rendering to some people, or it might make them dead inside. Because you've been blocked so many times, because you've been rejected so many times, because people have ceased conversations with you so many times, you become emotionally dead to it, which does what? Puts you in that 88% of people who go there just looking for fun. Because you're emotionally dead, you're done trying to get this whole real relationship thing, you're not part of the 12%, so I'll just go into the app for fun and just get a little bit of physical joy. That's before the final 3, you being catfished. That's before you get stood up. You turn up to the restaurant or the spot or the place, or you tell someone where you live, and they don't turn up to your AM dress. So who have you given your AM dress to now? You don't know. Fool. Yeah? And that's finally before you get used for sex. They tell you, yeah, I'm really looking for a partner. Like, I'm really looking to get kids. I'm looking to get married and blah, blah, blah. All this, that. Oh, great, blah, blah. They come around, you have a meal, you know what I mean? Have a little drink. You're getting used to it. You finally have sex. That person says, yeah, I'll give you a call next day. Day I'm leave. Blocked, deleted. You try and call them. Not going through. You've just been used for sex. Congrats. Well done. Well done. It's really working for you, isn't it? You can't get to 5 if you keep putting 2 + 2.
I mean, I think it's different for us because we came of a time before social media and before technology.
I agree. I do agree that, and it goes right in hand with the studies that I've looked at, which predominantly says it's younger people. So these are people between the age of 15 to 21. And then it also splits into gender. The women are more pressured than the men to be a certain way, to act a certain way, to show themselves in this false reality. And it almost makes me think of The Matrix. You know how The Matrix, if you haven't seen that film, people, watch that film and understand the story behind it. The Matrix is a world, sorry for spoilers, people. If you don't want spoilers, kind of skip ahead a little bit. The Matrix is a world, an animated world through computer technology, which is like the world we see now. However, the reality of that world is very rustic, very dim and dark, very hard, and very downtrodden. But the CGI world, there was a guy in the first movie who, even though he knew what his reality was, I'm not going to put too much spoilers, he rather the false reality because it was a world that he knew was fake, but he enjoyed it. His enjoyment overrode his logic and his reality. That's the problem. You get to a point where that false reality becomes your reality and you're no longer living in the real world.
Reminds me of the saying, ignorance is bliss.
100.
So I wanted to share a quick video clip with you guys. All right, so I want you lot to watch this clip and then have your thoughts after.
Hey, I read a story yesterday in the paper. Y'all got to be careful in this content game. It's not for everybody. Train conductor took his girl to work.
Stupid.
For
content?
No, I don't know. Well, yeah, he took his girl to work.
Okay.
Come on, Boomski.
Stink.
Come on, Stink. Let me show you how I handle this. Actually, you know what? You handle it a little bit. Let his girl drive the train.
And put it on social media.
If that wasn't enough, his girl tapes herself driving the train.
Oh, no.
Choo-choo.
Chicka.
Hey, they so stupid. And this is like, he made six figures, like $130,000.
$117,000 a year.
Something like that. Great job.
Right.
A job great enough, you would think that
you wouldn't play around with it.
You would honor it.
She on Snapchat telling the MTA what they did wrong. Yo, the markers where you supposed to hit the brake, they not visible enough. She adding them.
Nah.
She's adding
bro.
them.
Hey, wait. Somebody else, one of dude's co-workers follows him on the gram. Man, they seen that story, ran that right up to the supervisor.
I'm sure.
Supervisor said, hey, yo, Duke.
Yeah, you Duke at that point.
Hey.
You Duke.
Yeah. Sit down. It's over for you.
Oh, what do you guys think about when
Bro.
you see something like that?
Bro, I'm speechless, fam. It's like, what?
This is
T, go, man, go.
This is what it's got to. All for likes. The guy was getting 100 plus a year.
A black man in America getting 6 figures a year. Good job.
And you lose your job over that. For me, this is why sometimes it's crucial to make the right choice when you get with someone. Because someone that wants to build you wouldn't even entertain this idea. Not even build you, someone that wants to build with you. They'll say, don't be silly, that's your job. We're not playing around with that. We've got other things to do.
We've got other things to do.
It goes into so many levels. People make the right choices. Because someone that eggs you on to do that crap is not for you. Because guess what? She will leave. I'll guarantee it. She's not going to stay with that guy.
She is gone, bro. She's going to be belittling him, cussing him. He's not going to get another job that pays like that after being dismissed like that. What's he going to do? What is he actually going to do now? We don't know if he's got other kids or he ruined his life to impress him, girl. All for the clout.
I'm still stuck. It's almost comical because the concept is ridiculous. My brain is still trying to put sense to what's going on here. Like my brain, it literally cannot comprehend. When you see something and you just think, what the hell? And you almost think that must be fake. Because I can't comprehend a logical human being or human beings thinking, one, to even do that foolishness, like T said, but two, to make yourself known to the world that you're doing it. It's like doing a crime, recording that crime, posting the crime on social media, but not expecting to get convicted.
That's what a lot of rappers do, boy.
It's beyond, like, the word, there must be a better word than foolish. There must be a better word than idiocy. There must be a better word than stupid. There must be a better word than ignorant.
Dotish.
There needs to be something, because that's what they are. And unfortunately, they are not alone. This is not uncommon.
Far from it.
But let's stick to the specifics of this. We have a train conductor who has people's lives in his hands. He thinks it's such a joke, or he thinks the social pressure to have something exciting, to have something different, to have something daring is more important than his 100+K job and the people's lives. So much so that he brought his girlfriend on. And T rightly said, if she really was for him and really was about him, she would have said, what are you talking about? Or she would have said, I can't, I've got work. So why was she there during his time of on work?
Boy.
But that's another story. Yeah? But this is the pressure and the drive of social media. It's causing people to act in a way they would not normally act. If social media didn't exist, would they have still done that? If the answer is no, then there's something wrong about social media and what it is causing people to do. It's just like this whole phase of in the hood that was a massive blitz on YouTube, where people of cultures that weren't of Black origin would go to the ghettos and would do pranks on Black people in the ghettos just so they can put in the title. Yeah, just so they can put in the title, in the hood. Because apparently the hood only consists of Black people. Yeah? Now, the problem is when you do that, there's a YouTuber who recently died, by the way, from doing a prank in the hood.
But this is the thing. So you're risking your life, right?
Or livelihood. Listen,
it's
not worth it.
Sorry, Kay, I'm going to speak to Black people right now. Just Black people. Apologies to anyone else. But listen, we've got a lot going on in this life against us. A lot. We don't need things like this. We don't. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. We don't. Some things you need to be missed by some things. End off. You don't have to follow the crowd 24/7. We've got people dying in the hands of police. We've got racism, we've got discrimination, you name it, we've got it. We're dealing with it. You've put yourself out of a job, a well-paid job that most of us would kill for, or because you're trying to impress a jobless girl. I'm going on the whim she's jobless, because there's no way that behavior and going to work with him, this is not bring your kid at work day.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Oh, yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see. And I think what we've been discussing is really the dangers of the social media, the pressures of social media, how it affects our mental health, our self-esteem, our value, our worth, how it affects our livelihoods, how it affects the lives of those all around us. But I'll be remiss to not mention who I think is at greatest danger of social media, and that's be the children, the young people. Because I can see from those young people I have in my life, my nephews, my godchildren, cousins, everything, I see how they have grown up with technology. They at babies, toddlers, grabbing apps, grabbing phones, and they know exactly where they want to go, exactly what game they want to play, exactly what video they want to watch on YouTube. And these are young kids, and they can access it for themselves. How much control do we have as elders, as parents? And Tia, I wanted to really ask you, because obviously you're a father, does the social media dangers worry you when it comes to your child?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, especially when you've got a girl as well. It's a double worry. Because this is what they all know, like that generation, that's all they know. So the way we see social media now, my little one is young. By the time she gets to teenagehood, it will be 100 times worse if he keeps going at this trajectory. So what's the worry from me? My worry is you're going to get yourself in dangerous situations, right? Because as we know it, the world will turn around and say, oh no, it's men who we need to deal with, it's so and so we need to deal with. But we're not emphasizing more on, listen, you got to look after your own self first before expecting someone else to look after you, to look out for you. And I see this, I feel sad, man. I feel sad because all I see is damage, pain behind all those filters, behind all that makeup. Because you're trying so hard to be liked. You're trying so hard to get in a relationship, but that's not going to happen because as soon as the real you comes in, that relationship is going to crumble. Because that person got into that relationship under the false pretense of how you look.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
It's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game people are playing. But for the next generation, it's even worse. Because we grew up, I grew up anyway, climbing trees, playing around, just being a kid. I mean, this bleeds into so many things, which our other podcasts will come out of this. Talk about the rise in ADHDs and all these behavioral issues and stuff like that for kids. What you think there was no ADHD when we were growing up? So where is this all of a sudden come from? Kids have got a lot of energy. They're not burning because they're set behind a computer screen. That's bottom line. And then they get diagnosed with these things, which really, if it was back in the day, none of this would be here.
Yep.
You'd be out there exploring, developing, strengthening your bones and everything. You trip over a curb now, broken knee, hip replacement, all sorts. Back then you fall 2-3 meters off the ground and you're fine.
Okay, my friend, any last remarks in terms of the dangers? I know you're definitely gonna have some things to shed light on.
Yeah. The dangers of children, man. I think this is what gets to the crux of it, because an adult, there's an expectancy that you've developed more resilience and more ability to safeguard yourself. A child, you cannot expect a child to safeguard themselves. They do not have legal responsibility over themselves. The parents do, or the guardians, or the state, until a certain age. Yeah. This is a massive area for me, and is definitely touching on mental health. Definitely what I worked in for years when it came to self-harm and suicide. Definitely what I worked on in years when it came to child sexual exploitation. These are serious areas for me, and these are very real touchy subjects for myself. First of all, it's a security breach. There are under 18-year-olds using dating apps which are for 18 plus. Facts. There are adults who are having online access to your children who you would never allow inside your home. Facts. There are certain people who wouldn't be able to work in schools or around children due to a DBS check that are having access to your children. That's facts. There's a security breach. Influence. Children in a developmental stage, they're easily influenced by anything if they don't have the right upbringing. For example, I grew up playing GTA and games of such sort, and Resident Evil, even though I had severe nightmares when I was younger about that game. But I could still understand I was never going to get a gun and start shooting around the street saying kill frenzy. It weren't going to happen. Yeah. when it comes to social media and dating websites, there's no differentiation because it's now normalized as the real world. Yeah. So if they are now privy to that so-called false/real world, what influence are they getting? Because them people out there are not their parents, aunties, uncles, grandmother, grandfather. So they have no obligation to have any safeguarding for your child, which means they're going to influence your child who happens to be on a dating website, which we already said 88% of people are looking for sex. Let's just be real here. Yeah? Your child is opened up to that door and to that world. If you brought them up correctly, well, they shouldn't even be on there in the first place. They're on 18. But there needs to be a level of resilience and knowledge base so they can protect themselves. Because you're not always going to be there, dad. You're not always going to be there, mum. So build something up in your child. Feeling grown and feeling special. I call it grooming. But there's people out there who will make your child feel more special than you do. And what does that mean to a child? I'm grown. What does it mean to a child? I'm special. What does it mean to a child? I feel happy. Because they don't know what's the real alternative motion is. That's just the surface. I need to make your child feel great, feel special, feel loved, feel needed. Why? So that I can get in their pants. I'm being real here. Yeah? Now, what does that do? Now the child's going to listen to said person more than dad, more than mum, because dad and mum says you can't go out. Dad and mum says be quiet. Dad and mum says eat that food. Dad and mum says get to bed. Dad and mum says do your homework. Person on the internet says you can have this. Person on the internet says you can stay up as long as you want. Person on the internet says of course you can have it. In fact, I'll buy it for you. They get all the positives, while the parent has to do both sides. Yeah, which means the child might be more privy to doing what they say, which means, oh, dad, I'm just going out to see my friend Sarah from school. We're going to do some homework. Goes round the corner, gets into Steve's car. You don't know. Comes back 3 hours. Yeah, that was great. Yeah. I'll be going around there next weekend as well. Okay, cool, blah, blah. Tells her friend Sarah, if dad calls, lie to him, deceive him. Be careful, man. Overly sexualized. If a child goes onto a dating website, I already said about the exposure of nudity, because there's a pressure for that too. And the person who's speaking to them might think they are 18 because they said it on their profile. So I'm not going to check. In fact, they might say they're 21 when they're 17. I'm not going to check, but show me some nudes. If not, I'm not interested. Social pressure says I must show my nudes. Trust me, there's been kids in school who's had their pictures put up in school by other school kids because nudes have been found. Look it up if you haven't experienced it yourself or known about it yourself.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah? Now, I'll leave this as an open question. What does all this lead to? Have a guess.
For real. And I also wanted to shed light on, especially for young men as well, a lot of gangs use social media as tools for grooming as well. For grooming young men and young boys and girls into being drug dealers and drug mules, etc., etc.
Brother, You're so right there, man. The whole drug trafficking, the whole county lines, the whole situation there, man, that, you know what, that's for another podcast, man. That is for, I can go on and on this subject. I can.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out so the listeners can understand it's so many dimensions to not only for the dangers to adults, but also to the future, to the children. Okay, so I mean, the topic was the pressures of social media, and I mean that was really heavy. We talked about a lot of the negative aspects. I wanted to close off this podcast. Do you guys know who? I hope I'm saying his name right. ChlaMEDIA is?
No.
I have no
Okay.
idea.
So as social media, you'll probably recognize his face before you know his name. So, you recognize this guy?
No, I still don't.
Yeah. I recognize him. Apparently, he's worth a lot of money. I saw.
Yeah.
2 million. Yeah, I saw that.
Basically, in March 2020, he was made redundant as a factory worker, and he posted his first TikTok on the 15th of March 2020. He became the second person ever to reach 100 million followers, over 1.5 billion likes on his videos, 44 million views on average per video. He earns between 50,000 and 200,000 US dollars per brand post, and is currently a net worth over $2 million. He done this in just 17 months after losing his job, and he didn't say one word. He hasn't said a word.
So, man, again, logic. Now, a lot of people would say this is the argument to prove social media is good. A lot of people would say, see, look what he's earning because of that.
It's an example of the positives of social media, yeah. How they could change someone's life for the positive.
And also to justify it, why they are doing what they are doing, because he's getting it by doing that. So I'm going to do what he's doing in the hopes of being him. You can't be him. If it was so easy and so accessible to earn 50 to 20,000 per post, per branded post, then wouldn't everyone in the world quit their jobs? You know what? Let's go to the world. Let's paint the picture that social media is the way forward. It's the way to earn serious amount of money without going to university to get in debt, without having to do a apprenticeship and work for X amount of time and be signed off by other people, without having to learn a craft. Let's just dive into that world. Now, everyone in the entire world will be sitting behind a desk, a screen, putting posts up and doing nothing else. How would the world go on? How would you eat? Who's doing the farming? Who's doing transport? Who's doing distribution? Who's doing medical service? Who's doing education? Who's making the water come through your taps? Who's fixing your piping? Who's building houses and sorting cars out and making clothes? Oh, you want someone to do that now. But I thought you can put posts just like that guy so you can get 50 to 20K. Why can't everyone else do it? Now you become a hypocrite because you want to be accessible to create money by doing the simplest of tasks. That's not work. That's not work. That's doing the simplest of tasks and making the highest amount of money by the simplest of tasks. That is the mindset of someone who's lazy with the highest reward. And most people want to be that. How hard is it to make a picture, type something and post it? Takes 10 seconds. If you really want to do it, I can make an account right now, make it, take a picture, type a little caption, post it. Oh, that's so hard. How hard would it be to be an eye surgeon? Huh? Do you even know the route to even become an eye surgeon? Do you even know, could you be a farmer? Do you know how much work you got to put in? And you might get a yield, or you can sit at your desk and post.
I try to leave the podcast on a positive note, but you just completely flipped it on his head. Why? The poor guy, he lost his job. He was a worker. He lost his job.
Bless to him. Listen.
No,
I'm not crushing what he's done. Yeah, he took initiative. He was a worker. He got up every day and went to work, and he unfortunately lost his job, like quite a lot of people did over the COVID situation. And he thought, you know what? I might as well jump on social media, he may have been looking for other work while he was setting up the social media. And because it became lucrative for him, he thought, I don't need to look for work. This is actually paying me more than my job that I hated, that took up 40 hours of my week. Again, I can see the logical sense. But the problem is, the notion is that everyone can do that. There's like 1% of the population can ever be like him. If that. The 99% of the population are going to be random people who got AM counts, who post stuff, and you're never going to get that big shot. But it's like playing the lottery, isn't it? You're in it and you keep posting and you hope to finally get that break, rather than focusing on something that's more guaranteed, something that's more sustainable, because that's not sustainable. All it takes is for TikTok to stop existing and he stops getting his money. All it takes for the brands to pull out and he stops getting his money. What skill have you learned that is transferable with any other job? There's problems in that. There's positives and there's problems. So I just want to point out the problematic side because you pointed out the positive side, but I can definitely see both sides.
Yeah, definitely. I guess social media is here to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. How it's going to evolve, be positively or negatively, I guess only time would tell. But it's definitely here to stay. There's definitely pitfalls, dangers, and there's definitely a positive upside. I'd like to encourage everyone to if it gets all too much, if the social media gets too much, I encourage people to take breaks. Start off by taking a day. Don't go on the apps for a day. Don't go on the app for a week. Don't go on the app for a month. You know, take that time, because nothing is more important than your mental health. Encourage everyone who's got children, especially young children, keep an eye on what they're doing on social media, the games they play. Because these are all places, and especially now, for them to interact with people who they don't know, and you have no idea what could be going on in your own house at times.
Sorry, Jay, I just got to say this one last thing. I'm saying this now. There will be social media rehab clinics.
There will be, for sure. There's been a lot of research on social media addiction. I mean, if we had more time, we could. I had them all here. We could go through it, but I'll put the links in the description. So I just wanted to let all the listeners know we are one SAF, one step away from. Make sure to go follow us. We're everywhere, all the digital platforms. Just check us out. One SAF, one step away from. This topic was really interesting, and like I said, it's here. It's not going anywhere. We have to live with it. We just have to be mindful of how it affects us in our lives. So get in touch with us, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Nothing but love. Jay here, your host. Once again, shout out to the one SAF team. Honorable shout outs to M and S who couldn't make it here today. One love.